Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. We have here a very entertaining guest, folks. I can't lie. I've been listening to some podcasts with this gentleman, and my side's hurting because I've been laughing all day. Please welcome to Crime and Entertainment, Mr. James Bailey. James, how are you, my friend?
Good.
Now, you've got a lot of hats, man. You're an actor, you're a writer, you wrote books specifically on dealing with OCD. You're tight with guys like Mel Brooks. You pal around with guys like Brosnan, 007 himself. So I like a lot of guests here when it's their first time. Let's just kind of start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and then kind of what came next. Did you realize you had OCD? Did that come later? And then how did you get into acting and all that? So let's start from the beginning and kind of step forward.
Well, it's also in the book, by the way, Diary of a Manic OCD. See, my OCD, I have to show you.
Yep. We're going to
so anyway,
show notes.
So what happened, I was about 26. I was just drifting around, drinking heavily. And, and I actually was in Vail, Colorado when I was about 26 or 27. And the sheriff, the head of the sheriff of Vail, Colorado, told me I had to be out of town by 5 o'clock. It was like a movie or something, because I got kicked out every bar in that town. So I'm thinking, what? I got to get some future, man. I thought, well, I'm unstable. I'm an alcoholic. What's the perfect profession? Acting.
Wait a minute, Jim. We need to hear your story, not my story. All right, come
on. Looking in the mirror, huh? So anyway, I got this crazy idea to go to Hollywood. So I went to Hollywood, started going to acting school, and then the OCD kicked in, like terrible.
Yeah.
So I kind of dropped out of sight, and this is really weird. I had this irrational fear of germs, of course, and of drugs, okay? Oh. Irrational. So if I walked by a guy who looked like he might be high, I had to go run to the bathroom, wash my face, my nose, and I had to open the bathroom with my feet because I didn't want to touch the doorknob because of the germs.
With your feet?
Yeah, because everybody thought I was gay. I was hanging in the bathroom all the time.
I got to tell you, Jim, you'd have been the cleanest guy I knew in my hometown, because everybody looked like they probably just got done smoking a doobie or something like that. There, you'd have been the damn cleanest hand washing this fella walking around Darlington, South Carolina. Let me tell you.
Well, let me tell you how I got rid of this. This is even more bizarre. Adam Sandler almost did the movie. This is from my first book, by the way. I started hanging around homeless people. I figured, well, if I got a fear of germs, they're not big on hygiene, so I could shake their hand and hobnob with them. And my anxiety was like, I was shaking, but I wouldn't go wash my hands. And then I thought, well, how do I get rid of the drug problem? I started hanging around with drug dealers. And I kept talking about drugs, face my fear. And Squiggles, he was the main drug dealer. He finally said to me, in front of all his other flunkies, Jim, you talk about drugs all the time. We've never seen you do drugs. So now they think I'm a narc.
So to get over drugs, you hang out with drug dealers.
Right. Face your fear, right?
Ah, damn, that's a hell of a concept.
Yes. And finally, Squiggles, they started chasing me. They thought I couldn't say, well, I got OCD about drugs. What? That sounds so ridiculous. So anyway, it's a long story, but I stole their draw. Anyway, that's my first book, but I mentioned it in the new book as well, my third book as well. So anyway, so I kind of got over that. Then Mel, actually, I was in this hospital in California, but it wasn't a psychiatric ward. They didn't have bars, but you had curfew and all that. And I finally told the psychiatrist I was doing all that stuff. They don't let you be killed at their hospital, a patient. So he said, man, that's too dangerous, man. You crazy or something? I said, listen, life's passing me by. I got to take some risk. So I was the only patient that got better, Wow. So I told Mel what was going on, Mel Brooks. He said, hey, you got to write a book. This is insane, which it was. So that's how the book came about.
Now, you've got an interesting story of how you would push these books. You would go to these places, and you wouldn't leave until somebody would buy a book. Is that right?
Yeah, I would go to Barnes & Noble, And it was pretty easy, actually. Yeah, I throw my book near somebody who looked like they had money or something. And I say, hey, you like quirky books? And they go, yeah. Well, I wrote this book. Really? I've never met an author before. Well, I'll autograph it if you buy it, right? It was easy most of the time. So I'd do that 2 or 3 times, get on the bus, go to another bookstore. I just wouldn't stop. That's why Mel Brooks likes me, because I never stop, you know.
Now, was it during one of these book plays that you met Pierce Brosnan?
Yes, I met Pierce Brosnan in Malibu at the bookstore in Malibu. And of course, he had other books in his hand. And I was selling so many books at that bookstore. The owner let me carte blanche. You know, I could just walk up to anybody. Usually, they don't want you to bother the customers, right?
Right.
But he didn't care. I was bringing tourists into his bookstore. Didn't even know he had a bookstore. And they were buying other books besides mine. So we're helping each other out, for lack of a better word. So Pierce was in there. He was buying books. And I said, well, hey, you got to buy my book. Was he going to say no? Yeah. Right in the bookstore. Pierce Brosnan.
So what is he 007 at this point? Has he started the 007?
Yeah, he's still 007. And actually, I've met Pierce many times recently. And he's the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he seems real nice. I got to tell you, if I was in a bookstore and I'm looking around and I see the damn, James Bond himself over there, I'm probably going to shit my pants if James Bond's in a bookstore and I'm in there.
Well, we had a very interesting conversation. I told him, I said, well, you're so handsome. And he goes, well, you're a funny man, James, just like James Bond. So he asked me if I had any other books I'm working on. So we had a nice chat,
You get him a martini, shaken, not stirred? Or
No, then I went back to work, man. I'm strictly business, man. Then I met Bob Dylan. He bought my book.
Bob Dylan? Wow.
I didn't even know who he was. I walked around the parking lot and I saw a guy and I go, sir, do you like to read? He goes, yeah, sure. What you got? And we start chatting and he said, wow, I never met an author before, James. I'm so happy to meet you. I thought, wow, this guy's too cool. He kept telling me that. I'm so happy, James. I go, shit, I love this guy,
And what his name was? I said, what's your
well,
name?
we got about halfway to the freaking bookstore and I thought, wait a minute. That's fucking Bob Dylan, hit my brain.
I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, but I could pass that man in Walmart tomorrow and probably not recognize what he looks like.
It took me a little while. Then it hit me. Well, this is Bob. So I thought, this is how Bob, sir, what kind of work do you do? I'm thinking he's going to say musician, right? He said, well, James, I'm a gardener. He didn't want to tell me. So whatever, So I got a lot of stories like that in the book.
Now,
but then
you're also good friends with Larry Hankin, right?
Oh, yeah, me and Larry are tight. Yeah.
I done an interview with Larry Hankin, and there's a funny blooper, and I'll have to send it to you when we get done. But we're talking, and we're going over a little bit, but he's like, all right, I'll go 10 more minutes, because he wanted to finish the story. We were talking about how when he got axed off of Friends.
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and they're talking about the money, how he was almost to the reoccurring character, and his phone rings, and he's just like, I can't shut that off. I can't shut it off. And he's sitting there, he's like, I can't. And he looks down and he goes, and it's Jim Bailey.
I didn't know that.
You were calling him.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have to send you the interview. He goes, and it's Jim Bailey calling me. It's an important call, but I'll have to call him back.
Larry, he's the coolest guy. He always, whenever he gets in, like he meets some famous director and he's script, he says, and he's kind of intimidated or something. He goes, what would Jim Bailey do? He always tells me that because he knows I don't give a shit, Go for it, man,
So, I mean, would you hanging out with the drug dealers, would you able to conquer your drug?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I smoked a joint about 6 months ago, but just to see how it felt. And I just felt uncomfortable for about 30 minutes. And I thought, well, that got rid of that. I don't need that.
Yeah. So, I mean, weed nowadays, man, it's getting legalized in so many places. Oh, yeah. It's not legal where I'm at right now in South Carolina, but it's legal a lot of different places around here. And I think it's coming. It's coming for sure. We got these CBD shops everywhere.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now? Louisiana?
I'm actually in Louisiana, but tomorrow I'm headed for LA. So I'll be back to the book scene.
Okay, so LA, well, it's legal down there now, right?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Everybody. Well, they were smoking before it was legal, but
Yeah.
LA, they don't give a shit about nothing.
Well, see, even now, like technically, marijuana is not legal here in South Carolina, but they
Right.
got these CBD shops and shit where they got your deltas and all this other shit. I don't even know the difference in them all, to tell you the truth. But that stuff is legal. But they do tell you when you go in and buy it that if you were popped for a drug test, that you might show up positive. It's got just slightly over the amount of THC to where it could show up on a drug test, but it's legal under the amount to sell, if that makes sense. I guess they found that gray area to to operate. But it's going crazy around here, for sure. So I mean, how did that relationship, I know you touched on earlier, but with Mel Brooks, I mean, Mel Brooks is a legend in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, he's an icon.
Yeah, I mean, just, legend, movies upon movies upon movies.
Yeah.
And he done what do you call it, in your book? What do you call that thing where they write a little
blurb.
Blurb. Yeah, blurb. Yeah, I'm sorry. Blurb in your book. He done a blurb in your book. Is that correct?
He did a blurb on all my books, all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. So. Now,
okay, I got a good Mel Brooks story. It's in the book too, so I hope you people buy the book. It's only $10.
$10.
Did you read the book?
No, I haven't gotten it yet.
I'm gonna get one. Mel said I should get all these guys that I talked to get my book.
Absolutely. Well, we kind of rushed this interview here on the date, but I usually like to get them and sit them up right behind me. But I'll get it, and I'll put it up there, and I usually leave them up there for a few episodes, to help out guys that come on the show. So I'll definitely put yours up there. But tell us a little bit about like your experience writing that book. Did you do it by yourself? Did you go through a
by myself.
By yourself. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Now, how was that experience for you?
Well, which book? This last book or the first book?
Well, we'll start with the first one. We'll start with the first one because that's always the one where you're kind of cutting your teeth, figuring out what the deal is.
Well, the first one, I was actually in that place in California I was telling you about, dealing with the OCD. They were specialists in OCD or whatever, supposedly. Mm-hmm. And I called Mel from that place, and he said, I was telling him all these stories about Squiggles and all these people.
Squiggles, that's your drug dealer, right?
Yeah, right. And Mel was laughing.
The coolest names, man.
That's his real name. So anyway, I told Mel about that. He said, "You got to write a freaking book, man. This is insane."
Oh, Jesus. Now you're writing a movie right now, right?
I got a movie at HBO and one at Anonymous Content they haven't decided or whatever, but I'm not going to sell it unless I get to act in them.
Right.
Acting is my thing now.
Right. Yeah. And you had a few roles here and there.
Yes, I did.
Along the way there, right?
Yes.
What's some of your acting roles?
I did a couple of episodes of that old TV show Chips. Do you remember that?
Chips. I sure do. Well, that's kind of my nickname also, Chip.
Yeah, and I did a movie, usually the bad guy, nothing special, like you would say, there's that guy,
That's Larry Hankin's book.
Yeah, I know. That's a great title for his book.
It is, because, when I told people I was interviewing Larry Hankin, everybody's like, who? And I'm like, Larry Hankin. He's in Home Alone, Breaking Bad, all these other things, and they're still like, oh, Hankin, who? And then I show them, and they're like, oh, that's that guy. And I'm like, yeah, that's his book. It's called That Guy, because nobody knows who the hell his name is. But as soon as you show them a picture, oh, it's that guy. Yeah.
I actually helped Larry get an agent. He's trying to get a book going,
Yeah. Well, that's what he told me. He was getting the book going. I mean, and what a fantastic character actor he is, man. I mean, just legendary in the business. Yeah. I love people from old Hollywood, man, because we got to talk about him working with guys by the likes of, Clint Eastwood, back in the day, even Van Damme, some of that was a Death Warrant. I think he was in the prison. So many classic TV shows. And then obviously, Friends and Billy Madison. And he worked with Adam Sandler as well. Now, what movie was Adam Sandler about to pick up of yours?
Well, what happened, my first book, Man Interrupted, was optioned for a movie. Mm-hmm. Now, this should motivate people out there who are trying to be salesmen or whatever in your audience. I was walking around Malibu because I was sleeping in my car and nobody knew that.
Sleeping in your car?
Yeah, I actually liked it. That's even more weird.
You liked it?
Yeah.
What the hell kind of car were you driving?
I had a van with a little bed in it,
Oh, okay. Well, all right, I can deal with that, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I'm walking around Malibu. They think I live there. They know I'm a homeless or whatever, So anyway, I'm walking around and I meet this woman, and I said, do you like to read? And she says, oh, well, you should meet my son-in-law, but he's a director. He just did a movie at Tribeca Film Festival. I said, yeah, I want to meet so I'm always hustling like that.
Yeah.
So she calls him up, and he comes, nice looking guy, about 30. He buys my book. Next day, I autographed it to him. He called me up, Jim, I want to make a movie from your book. So I did it on my own. I didn't need an agent,
Wow.
So Robert Downey Jr. and Adam Sandler and some other actor looked at the script, and the creative artist, who's the biggest agency in Hollywood, CAA, I don't know if you know that, they liked it, but whatever reason, Adam took about 6 months because he's a big fan of Mel Brooks, the Jewish icon kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but he finally backed out. So I made money because they kept paying me every 6 months for the option.
Wow. So wouldn't that's kind of interesting there, because if they're optioning your book for a movie, they have to pay you as long as they're optioning that out.
Right.
So they take their time. If they want to think on it for 6 months, they got to pay you. What is that, per month?
Yeah. Well, every 6 months, the contract either could renew it
or let it go.
So, yeah. So I guess the logic is there, if they put quite a bit of money up, they want to get it done because they're throwing money to me.
Yeah. They're
So
holding.
I kept getting an option, re-option. So I kept making money. But my big deal was the movie because I wanted to act in the movie.
Right.
But, as never happened. So it was close.
Yeah, I've talked to a few authors, before that we've had on the show, and they've explained, somewhat when something gets optioned, it can be optioned for a long time. It can take years, and then they just decide not to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Hollywood's very stubborn in that type of way.
Well, Forrest Gump took 15 years to get made. So that tells you something.
Wow, really?
And that's a great story. You know that.
It is.
Great
Wow,
movie.
I had no idea that took 15 years to get made.
Somebody optioned that guy's book. He was from Alabama or something. The guy wrote it. I can't remember his name. And it just kind of got stuck in the studio file or something. And somebody, for whatever reason, just got a hold of it. And wait a minute, there's something here. That
So
kind
for
of.
15 years, that guy got paid for not doing a damn thing.
Well, I don't. Yeah, he probably did. I never thought about that. I just thought. My point was, even the good stuff could take years to get made.
Life is like a film being optioned, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So then Mel Brooks finally optioned it, and then another girl optioned. Some actress I met on the beach optioned it, so it kept getting optioned.
Wow. So, I mean, do you hang out with Mel a good bit? Do you still see him?
I talked to Mel on Friday. So
Really?
yes.
When's the last time you talked to Larry?
A couple days ago.
A couple days ago? Yeah. I said, well, when I get Jim on the show, I'm going to have to tell him about that clip, because it was so funny, because it was like he was apologetic, and he was like, you can edit that out. And I'm like, well, I can, but I'm not gonna, because this shit's funny. He couldn't figure out how to stop the phone from ringing. It was just coming right through the feed there. And I was like, I'm not in this. This is funny. This is golden right here.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, golden. I like that. So anyway, another funny story. So I'm talking to Pierce Brosnan, right?
Yeah.
About 5 hours later, I'm talking to the homeless bearded lesbian. So you go from one extreme to the other.
Whoa, hold on a minute now. The homeless bearded lesbian.
Right.
Now,
in my book, by the way.
Where was this person? I'll just go with that. I don't know. I don't want to get messed up on the pronouns here. Where was this person at?
Well, another good story. I'm doing all my books. I meet Pierce and all these people. And I'm back in Santa Monica, living in my car. And I'm resting on 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica. And this woman is sitting next to me. Well, I thought it was a man, to be honest, because he had a beard.
Well, I would think so.
So, yeah, and she started talking to me, or he, whatever. And they kept asking me, asked my name. I said, Jim. Jim, should I go back to Fresno, California? And I said, I didn't know. I said, well, I don't know. And she said that, or he said it about 50 times. So I thought he had OCD,
Yeah.
Should I go back to Fresno? Should I go back? Jim, should I go back to Fresno? Over and over. And I'm so tired. I just listened. It didn't say anything.
You said, hell yeah. Yeah, go.
Well, I finally did. I finally said, yes, go back to Fresno. And guess what she said? Why, Jim? So that opened up the whole nother. Why? Anyway, She said, Jim, you're the only friend I got. So well, thanks. I don't have any friends either. So glad to be your friend, you know. So anyway, that's where it gets bizarre. So I finally figured more bizarre would be the right.
Let's strap in, folks. Here's where it gets bizarre.
Yeah, right. So this is all my books. So don't forget. So I finally figured in my brain, oh, that's a woman with the growth, you know. So okay. So she finally says to me, Jim, I'm lonely. Will I find a companion? You know, and she said that probably 50 times again. She, you know, something was wrong with her. And I said, finally, I had enough. I said, yes, there is a man out there for you somewhere, you know. You motherfucker, I'm looking for a woman. I'm a lesbian. So, no good deed goes unpunished.
You should have tipped her a razor, for crying out loud.
Well, we became friends. I kept her from getting arrested. I became friends with her. She has some mental problems. I try to, you know, have some, you know.
So it was a her.
You what?
At the end of the day, it was a her.
Yes, because she said I'm a lesbian. She said I'm looking for a woman.
Yes, it was a her looking for a woman. Man. She just had a beard. She just had a beard.
Yeah, well, yes, she did.
Now, was it as pretty as my beard?
No, hers was unkept, for lack of a better word. She was homeless too.
I got a nice beard. This took a minute to get to this point here. Now this is a nice something other here.
I'm just telling you the extremes of Pierce Brosnan to, you know, the bearded lesbian. And
you can't get much more extreme than that, from 007 to a bearded lesbian. I don't know if there's anywhere else you can go.
Well, there's a few. Left. I've met a few more in my book about in that vein. You know.
Now, look, I got to tell you, I was listening today because I was on his show too, and I don't know if mine's aired yet, but Todd, what's the Showwater?
Oh, he's a nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you were telling a story on his show about a homeless person that you thought had a bomb or something. I mean, yeah, I was laughing so damn hard. People thought I was just losing my mind because I'm standing over in the corner at work and I'm laughing, I'm doubling over, and they're like, damn, you all right? You sick? And I'm like, you hot? You about to pass out? And I'm like, no, I'm listening to Jim Bailey.
Well, I appreciate that.
so tell us that story here. What you got going on with the bombs and the homeless?
Okay.
What the hell's going on there?
Well, like I say, I'm living on the streets and I'm meeting, you know, going to Malibu, then back to, you know, street level people, you know. So I met this guy, and he's got a white kimono and it's clean as a whistle. I've never seen a homeless guy with a white kimono.
I don't think I have either.
And he had a briefcase handcuffed to his hand.
Well, how do you know he was homeless?
Hey, I know. When you get out in the streets like me, you know.
Well, yeah, you lived in your car, for crying out loud, so I'm not going to second guess
How many guys are walking around the streets with a white kimono and a briefcase?
Handcuffed, nonetheless. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, and then I saw him at those free feedings. He's always first in line. So I guess that was an indication.
Oh, well, yeah. Now, handcuffed might be one thing because they maybe escaped from the county jail. That might handcuffed is one thing. But handcuffed to a briefcase, that's a whole nother deal.
Well, that's true. So I start talking to him at Jack in the Box. All these guys hang out at Jack in the Box. My hangout, by the way. So I says to him, how come your kimono is so clean? You're homeless. I'm curious why it's so clean. I have OCD. I have to know. You know, he didn't know what the hell I'm talking about. And he said, none of your business. So now I go to phase 2. You know, I want to know what's in that briefcase.
Yeah, what the hell? What's he carrying in there? Why has he got a handcuff to him? What's going on? What's he got? Family recipes in there or what?
It hit my brain. This is in my book. Wait a minute. First in line at all the free feedings. Hey, buddy, I'll buy you a hamburger if you tell me what's in the briefcase.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, all right. And a big drink and a big fry, you know. So,
Did he what was in the briefcase? You got me hanging on the edge.
See, I'm
over here.
I'm working up to that.
All right.
So we sit down in the box, Jack in the Box, and he slowly opened in that briefcase, and I'm backing up because he might have a gun. I don't know. The guy's insane. Well, I'm insane too, so I'm not making fun of the guy.
Just two insane guys sitting there having dinner there.
Yeah. So he opens it up finally, real slow. And I think, I back up a little bit because it might be a grenade.
Damn, watch out with that grenade there, pal.
Yeah. So he finally opens it up and it's just 3 pieces of paper in the damn thing. So I said, what the hell is that? He goes, it's a record contract for a producer. Yeah. In case I'm a music producer, I've got the contract ready to go. Oh, Lord. And I said, well, can you sing? Oh, yeah, I'm like Elvis. So he starts singing and just horrible.
Don't carry a tune in a bucket, huh?
No. And I said, well, you need to go practice down by the Santa Monica Pier. Those people perform down there. He goes, oh, I'm too good for that.
Now, what was he? Was he Arab or was he white or what was
No,
he?
he was actually, he told me he's from Hawaii. He had kind of a Hawaiian look, but
Okay.
who knows, because he said he was hitchhiking in Hawaii. I don't know if you could do that.
Hitchhiked to Hawaii.
That's what he told me.
Oh, but on. That's a long damn hitchhike right there.
Well,
There's got to be a point to where you can't go by car. There's got to be.
I didn't ask him any more questions after that. But anyway, he likes me every time I walk down the street. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, how you doing, Jimmy? So it's good to have somebody like me.
I'm a welder during the day. That's what I do. And a lot of times we have boxes of like shop rags and stuff that we have, to clean stuff up because we make a lot of mess. We're dirty people, and I'll take them and I'll wrap them around my head sometimes as like a homemade sweatband, and I'll tie it around there. And I was another job I had previous before this one. I had one time I went to pick them up and I got out and I come walking up to them and I had this beard and he was like, dude, he's like, everybody's looking at you like you're a damn Taliban member or something walking through here because you got the white, rag tied around your head. You got the full beard. He's like, you got to keep a lower profile or take that thing off or something, He's like, you got to looking at us. I was like, well, I'm not hitting anything. I'm not running a car into anything or nothing around here. But that always had me struck, man, because, their beliefs, I think, is they do what they do, and then you go to heaven with, 72 virgins or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, who the hell would want to do that? Why would you want to go there with 72 virgins?
Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound that bad.
I mean, I don't know. I'd rather go up there with 72 whores or something, girls that know a thing or two. Might be a fun time.
Well, it's all relative, my friend.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I got to spend all this time teaching you and learning you to the game. Send me up there with some girls with some experience, by God.
No, you get the other 71 to watch. The first one, see? There you go.
Well, yeah, there you go. I guess, yeah, it makes sense. I guess you got to make the best out of the situation, I guess.
Well, that's a writer in me,
And that's what you've done here, Jim, and you made the best out of the situation. A lot of people, when they have OCD, they kind of let it control them and box them in, and they stay secluded, and they don't want to get out and talk to the world. They close themselves off, and you've done the exact opposite. You went out, you wrote books, you're palling around with Pierce Brosnan, living in your car, dealing with, with bearded lesbians, by God. I mean, you're the poster child for what you can be able to accomplish with something like this.
That's right. And actually, Simon & Schuster said I should get my book to Netflix. So that's something.
Absolutely.
I've
seen some of the horse shit they put on that damn thing. They should definitely put yours on there. I'd watch.
Well, if anybody watching this show is connected with Netflix, get in touch with me.
Yeah, and if you are, I didn't mean horse shit. I meant, not so great.
No,
that's what I meant.
My book will bring it back up.
Yeah. Get Jim on there. We'll bring it back up. We'll get the thing. Just throw me my 3%. That's all I asked for.
There you go. I'll put you in the movie. You could be somebody in there.
There you go. I'll be the bearded lesbian for crying.
No, you could be the Arab, the guy they think's an Arab.
Yeah, give me the briefcase. You can handcuff me to a contract of music or whatever. There, I'll sing. Ain't nothing but a hound dog. I'll get you going there.
Yeah, you could be the manager of that guy, Elvis guy. Yeah.
Well, Jim, tell everybody where they can find your books, man. Where they can purchase them.
Here it is. Can you see it? It's got a nice butterfly.
Move it over a little bit. Yep. The diary. Flip it up one more time there. Diary of a Maniac OCD Bookseller.
Manic.
Oh, Manic. Excuse me. Manic. Oh,
close enough.
Oh, you Maniac. I'm sorry. Oh, shit.
Oh, man, you're killing me.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Oh God, that's funny. Oh, Manic OCD Bookseller. So why did you put the bookseller on there? I'm curious. Where did that come from?
Well, because I walk up to people constantly and give them a card and say you should buy my book. So
Yeah,
bookseller.
that's right. You hoard them. You don't let them leave till they buy a book. I guess that would fit. You're a bookseller.
Well, the funny thing about the OCD, I would go. Mel would tell me, Jim, leave at least one book in the bookstore. It's good for your ego to, go in the store and see your book. But I would sell like 4, and there was one left, and I would leave, and I'd walk all the way towards the bus, and I think, screw it. I couldn't. The OCD made me go back, sell the last copy. So it is what it is,
It is what it is indeed. Now, where can they buy your book? Do Amazon or
Amazon is the cheapest one. It's about $10. I try to make it as cheap as I could.
There you go. There you go.
And 99 cents on Kindle if you're broke, but though I'm not a big Kindle person myself. But
no, I ain't either. Now I'm Audible, guys. Is it on Audible?
Not yet, but that's something down the road.
Yeah, I would say definitely try to hit up on. I think that's the wave of the future, man, to be quite honest with you. Because I'll be honest, even before I got into podcasting, which now demands a lot of my free time, I was a lazy bastard anyway. So just sitting around reading a book, a lot of times I just didn't want to do it. But I loved to read back in the day. So now Audible is like my new best friend. So I'll buy a book and I'll let it play while I'm working or, working out or whatever. I don't really work out. I missed the gym today. That makes 15, 20 years, I think, in a row I missed. But, I went one time a long time ago. But even if I'm doing, yard work or whatever else, I'll listen to books and stuff like that. I think Audible is the way to go for anybody because I think that's the wave of the future.
Yeah. Sure. Well, that's all. I take all these road trips to LA and stuff. So I'm always listening to stuff on Audible. So.
Oh, yeah. And in the car, I mean, that's, people love to listen to it in the car. I think that's one reason why podcast popularity has probably went so high over the last few years is, people riding in the car. I used to have a commute, for work, and it didn't matter what time I left. I was going to be in the car for at least an hour, if not more, depending on if somebody wrecked or hit somebody in the ass or something, on the way to work. It could be 2 hours. And that was kind of like my release. My wife used to say, God, doesn't that drive you nuts sitting in traffic? And I'm like, it did to start with. But once I started listening to podcasts, it was almost my escape. I could sit back. It didn't matter if the traffic was backed up for miles. I'm just like, okay, this is a pretty good little episode I'm listening to here. So it was just kind of my time to zone out,
Yeah.
Unless I had to get home and a beer to drink or a game to watch, then I was trying to hurry up and get out the way. But sometimes you just kind of got to enjoy that time alone in the car and listen to whatever your thing is. But we're going to put a link to your book in the show notes to this episode. So if any of our fans want to go there and check it out and take a look, see, maybe buy 1 or 2, 3, all your books there. And we look forward to maybe you getting that movie done. And when you do that, you come back on and promote the heck out of that.
Yeah. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right, my friend. Well, James, look, man, I'm glad you could stop by. I've had a blast, man. I knew it was going to be good when I heard some of your shows earlier. I knew it was going to be a lot of laughs, and I think we've had a good time, and I certainly appreciate you stopping by the show.
Oh, I appreciate you. I'll tell Larry that you're cool. He already knows that.
Yeah. Also, when we hang up, I'll send you a link. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I am. Okay. Me and Mel Brooks. There's a picture of me and Mel. You know what? Larry's jealous of me. He said, "Oh, you got a Mel Brooks to help you. I ain't got a Mel Brooks."
I'll send you a link to that that clip I'm talking about with Larry so you can see it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Hollywood Wade. That was Jim Bailey, and unfortunately, we are out of time. Tune in next week for an all-new episode of Crime and Entertainment. Jim, we appreciate it, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care.